There is a step pyramid, less well known than the pyramids of Egypt or the pyramids of Teotihuacan, a single massive structure constructed over a period of more than 1,000 years, which is the largest pyramid by volume in the entire world. And it can be found in Mexico. Not many people can name it, but I'm going to show it to you today and tell you what we know about the enigmatic ancient people who made it. We're currently in the state of Puebla in Mexico, not far from the modern city of Puebla. This morning we're making our way to the archaeological site of Cholula. This is a Spanish name based on the Aztec Nahuatl name Chololan, meaning place of the refugees, referring to the Tolteca Chichimeca people, who fled here about 1,000 years ago. But the Otomi name, Maragi, may have been closer to the name used in antiquity. The ancient site was probably chosen because it is strategically positioned along major pre-Columbian trade routes, connecting the Valley of Mexico, Gulf Coast, and Valley of Oaxaca. It sits in a volcanic landscape, dominated by Mount Popocatépetl and Mount Iztaccíhuatl. Cholula became important after the fall of Teotihuacan, between the 7th and 8th century, when regional power centers arose and developed. Archaeological evidence suggests that Cholula served as a major religious destination, with pilgrims traveling considerable distances to participate in rituals at the site. But people had lived here for a long time even before then. Radiocarbon dating reveals occupation dating to the beginning of the Middle Formative period, between 1200 and 800 BCE. Within a few hundred years, it reached approximately 2 square kilometers in size, and a population of about 5,000 to 10,000 people. Who the people were exactly is unknown, but scholars have proposed they were speakers of the Otomanguean language family, which, as you may remember from last episode, also contains the Zapotec and Mixtec languages. It wasn't until after 400 BCE that the inhabitants began monumental construction. Basically everything that you're looking at going up that hill are sections of the Great Pyramid of Cholula. Ceramics associated with the earliest pyramid construction phases date to approximately 200 BCE. The oldest version of the pyramid was about 10 meters square and had an adobe brick core. It served religious functions and established this location as a sacred center. There was an expansion of it not long after. The talud tablero architectural style suggests familiarity with conventions that would later become widespread across Central America. Talud tablero consists of an inward sloping surface or panel, called the talud, with a panel or structure perpendicular to the ground sitting upon the slope, called the tablero. Sometimes it's called the slope and panel style. But major development of the pyramid and of the city occurred during the Classic period, between 100 and 700 CE. Stages 3 and 4 of construction occurred during this era. That's when it was transformed into one of the most impressive architectural monuments in Mesoamerica. Numerous other edifices were constructed within the urban zone at that time, too. The central ceremonial complex of Cholula included the Great Pyramid, a large plaza to the west, and Cerro Cocoyo, positioned as the westernmost pyramid of the plaza group. I wouldn't mind having a patio that looked like that. Immediately south of the main pyramid mass lies the patio of the altars, a major ceremonial area that served as the principal entrance to the pyramid. It's flanked on east and west sides by 2 elaborately constructed raised platforms, which elevated ceremony participants above the spectators. We're here at the patio of the altars. This functioned as sort of entranceway to go up to the Great Pyramid. The pyramid's behind us right there. It's called the patio of the altars because there's 3 altars here. You can see one there, one there, one there. These have stelas with them, but the stelas are blank. But it's believed that maybe offerings were left at these stelas, but it's still uncertain. But one thing we do know is that this is a distinctive Cholula-style architecture which shows some influences from Teotihuacan. But as you can see, it's magnificent, and we're only just getting a taste of what the bottom part, the entranceway to the pyramid looked like. The patio of the altars underwent at least 6 different construction phases during its occupation history, which means it was in use for a very long time. You can see evidence of the talud tablero architectural style, but with a Cholulan twist. Taluds forming the platform's visible faces are characteristically wide, and the tableros are incorporated into the platforms and painted with aquatic symbols, perhaps symbolizing water deities. The famous Mural of the Drinkers was discovered here in 1969 within Structure 3. It's now in the Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City, which we got a chance to see later. It was executed in the al temple technique. Pigments were applied to dry plaster. The mural shows a massive ceremonial feast involving the ritual consumption of pulque, a fermented agave drink still made around here. 110 human figures are depicted, organized into male-female pairs, separated by images of ceramic jars and vessels. Most figures are seated and displaying signs of age, intoxication, or elevated status with elaborate costume and regalia. As we head southward, we encounter the Southwest Plaza, containing remains of numerous buildings. They range from small residences to more substantial ceremonial or administrative edifices. During the Classic period, Cholula covered approximately 5 square kilometers and reached an estimated population of 15 to 20,000 people. While Teotihuacan was still around, Cholula had interaction with it. But the precise nature of the Cholula-Teotihuacan relationship, whether involving trade, political subordination, and or shared ideological frameworks, is debated. But it was at this time that Cholula gained a reputation as the primary production center for high-quality ceramic wares. Here's something not a lot of people know. During the Classic period, there was a disruption at Cholula, and possibly a political reorganization. Mount Popocatépetl, which is a volcano, erupted around the year 500, and this may have forced the population to abandon the city temporarily. But unlike Teotihuacan, which underwent violent destruction and substantial abandonment, Cholula survived. Then there was a new group of people who entered the area, who eventually took over. They are known as the Olmeca-Xicalanca. They are one of the most enigmatic yet culturally significant groups in Mesoamerican history, emerging as a major power between about 650 and 900 in central Mexico. The Olmeca-Xicalanca remain poorly understood by both scholars and the general public. Despite their name, they were not the same people as the ancient Olmecs, whom we discussed in our first episode this season. That was long before this. There are competing theories about where the Olmeca-Xicalanca came from. One possibility is that they originated in the Gulf Coast lowlands. This mostly has to do with their name. The word Olmeca is a reference to the rubber-producing zones characteristic of the Gulf Coast. And Xicalanca relates to Xicalango, the name for 2 important ports on the Gulf of Mexico. Another theory is that they originated within central Mexico itself. In other words, they were native to the area. And a third theory is that they were related to the Putun Maya, who inhabited the Gulf Coast lowlands of Tabasco and Campeche. The reason for this is the Maya influence in Olmeca-Xicalanca art. According to this interpretation, the Putun Maya merchants and warriors deliberately took advantage of the chaos and power vacuum following the collapse of Teotihuacan to penetrate into central Mexico. We do know that the Olmeca-Xicalanca established their greatest power and most visible cultural presence in the Tlaxcala Puebla Valley, at a place called Cacaxtla, located approximately 50 miles southeast of Mexico City. Archaeology indicates that Cacaxtla was the most powerful capital in the region between 650 and 1100. Cholula, located a short distance from Cacaxtla, ended up becoming another major power base for the Olmeca-Xicalanca. Here we are at the base of the Great Pyramid of Cholula. Look at this amazing thing. All right, this pyramid was 450 meters on each side. The height was about between 54 and 66 meters in height. So it's not the tallest pyramid in the world, but it is the largest pyramid by volume in the world. We're standing here right at the base of it. Just for comparison, this has a volume of 4.45 million cubic meters, whereas the Great Pyramid of Giza has only 2.5 million cubic meters of volume. So gives you an idea. But this was built up over time in phases, and we're looking here at one of the additions. This is edifice number 7. This was made during the Classic period by the Olmeca-Xicalanca people, and amazing. Look at this. You can see some of the original stonework in the middle. It's darker there, and then the reconstruction is the newer part here, but they use that as a guide to figure out how this looked back in the day, and they reconstructed it for us. Of course, the mountain is still covered in grass and all that up there, but hopefully, ultimately, the whole thing will be excavated and we'll get a good view of the whole thing. According to the Tolteca Chichimeca colonial historical narrative, an Olmeca-Xicalanca lord, bearing the title Amapane, resided at the Great Pyramid here. Today it's partially overgrown and topped by a 16th century Spanish church, Our Lady of Remedies. You might be surprised to know that what appears to be a large grassy hill is an entirely human-made mountain. It's not just buildings put onto a hill. It's filled with adobe bricks, put there over a period spanning more than a millennium. There is an extensive network of tunnels excavated through the interior of the Great Pyramid that allows visitors to literally walk its interior. But we were disappointed to find out that the tunnels are now closed. You should know, though, that the tunnels are not ancient. They were made by archaeologists trying to discern the construction phases of the pyramid. Most of the ancient city is now gone. When the Spanish conquistador Cortés arrived here in 1519, contemporary accounts describe him observing more than 400 pyramids throughout the city. There was a site museum right next to the pyramid, but it was closed. However, there is a larger and more recently established museum nearby, the Regional Museum of Cholula. It's housed in multiple buildings, and from what I hear, the grounds are connected to the tunnel system of the Great Pyramid, though all that was closed off at the time we were there. But it is here that we were able to get a look at the many artifacts that were discovered at the site. The most culturally important artifacts recovered from Cholula are its polychrome ceramics. These ceramics, which made Cholula famous, first appeared late in the Classic period. Interestingly, their development coincided with the arrival of the Olmeca-Xicalanca people. They painted the vessels before firing them, a technique they learned from the Maya. It has been noted that the polychromes bear iconography and artistic conventions that are also seen in pre-Hispanic Mesoamerican codices. This suggests that the potters possessed specialized knowledge comparable to that of the scribes. They were part of an intellectual elite with access to esoteric religious knowledge. Many figurines have also been found at Cholula. They got more sophisticated over time. Pre-classic figurines depict nude women with elaborate hairstyles and give us information about gender roles and how people dressed. Some figurines from the Classic period represent deities and priestly figures with distinctive headdresses and regalia. Wow, these are beauties, though. Obsidian artifacts, including obsidian blades and cores, appear throughout Cholula's archaeological sequence. The murals are absolutely breathtaking. I can only wonder what everything means. On our way to lunch, we spotted the nearby volcanoes, imposing peaks reaching into the sky. A little bit scary. One of the things I always look forward to in Mexico is eating. Mexican food is so satisfying, and I love it when we get to stop at a mom and pop restaurant on the roadside to taste some homemade victuals.
Tortillas made by hand.
Made by hand, yeah. Okay.
Here there is cecina. Cecina, you see the sign?
So there you have it, the largest monument in the world. But just when you think you've seen it all, you're going to be amazed by what I have in store for you in the next episode. We will be visiting the remains of a city that tried to unite central Mexico in the days after Teotihuacan's fall. And on site is a temple decorated with strange scenes, which some people interpret to depict a great flood that destroyed the world. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe.